5 years ago. And it was a big room. And it had this huge sweeping window with this big tan curtain that almost was like the whole wall. So I had gone to sleep about around 12, played Pokemon for a little bit. And I was in an old Game Boy Color. And I woke up at 2:30, alert for some reason. And I was just like, what's going on? I don't know why. And then I remember being under the covers.
That's naked!
Yeah. I was under the covers and I was like, something's going on. I don't know why. And I look up at the window. And so about 2 feet from the window, you can see the silhouette of, I hate to say it, the Easter Bunny. There was a 6 foot tall person with the perfect silhouette of a bunny's head with large ears. And I was just like, I remember being a kid at the bed, getting up and being like, okay.
Lightning behind it, and
flashing. Not just so it's tan curtains. It's tan curtains with lighting behind it, and you can see there. It's not just like a silhouette. It's like they're moving, just slightly. You know how when a person's standing in one place, but they're kind of moving? That's the movement. And I get up out of bed because I'm like, okay, my cousin must be messing with me. My mother must be messing with me. Because my parents have faked a Santa encounter before. I woke up when I was 5 years old. And there was reindeer feed. There was reindeer feed all over the house, on the roof. There's stuff thrown everywhere. And I was like, it's a fake. So I go up to check and be like, this is a fake. They're pulling the Easter Bunny on me. And the closer I get to this thing, the more uncomfortable I get. I'm like, okay, it's someone in a bunny cup. And it's right here. And I'm like, I can't open. I go to open the curtain, and I can't open it. Because it just feels like it wants me to open it. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like whatever the shadow thing is casting this Easter Bunny silhouette is, wanted me to open the curtain.
Why'd you do that?
And the minute I put my hand in the curtain to open it, and I was just sitting there shaking. I'm 12 years old, maybe 10. I think I was 10 actually, because it was 2003.
12 or 10.
I was 11.
No, not 11.
I was 11 because that's when the SP came out. And that'll become relevant later in the story. I go to open the curtain, I can't open it. The thing is Easter Bunny, whatever you want to call it, is just standing there at the window, ready for me to open this fucking curtain. And I'm holding the curtain, about to look at it, and I'm fucking terrified. So I'm just nope, fuck this. I go back to the bed, and I'm I'm just gonna watch it. So I open up Pokemon, start playing Pokemon Gold, got my new file. I have my Pokemon named after my cousins because I'm weird. I'm oh, this one's named Jason because my cousin's name is Jason. And this one's name, was it Jonathan? I forget. But so they're named after my family, and I'm sitting there just watching it under the covers, making sure, oh, Bunny's still there. Okay, it's real. Go back under the covers. A few minutes later, oh, it's still real. I'm playing Pokemon for sure. There's a bunny out there. Going back under the covers, and then at one point I open the covers, gone. And I'm just okay, guess I can sleep now. Guess it was a family member. Save every game, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, try to be normal, and they're something's wrong with him. But whatever, we're going to give him, because they told me something special was going to happen for Easter. They were okay, be ready for Easter. We're going to have a surprise for you. So they told me to be excited. And I was okay, I'll be excited. So I'm both scared and excited at this point because something happened last night. I can't explain. But they told me to be excited, so I'm it's Easter. Go to church, do our thing, come back, and they're ready for the surprise? And I'm I'm ready. Who's gonna be in the bunny costume?
Snacks. Snacks.
Look, I have snacks.
In my head, I'm who's in the bunny costume? Who's gonna show me the bunny costume? Someone's in the bunny costume. And they're here's your Game Boy SP. Because it was it was March 2003, that's when the fucking Game Boy Advance SP came out. Quote me on it. The Platinum Game Boy Advance SP came out in fucking 2003.
Grab the chips.
And
It's fine.
so I open it and I'm like, oh my god, Game Boy SP, it's so great. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, it is. 5 minutes later, I'm like, wait a minute. There's no bunny costume. And I'm like, enjoying the present. I'm enjoying this expensive present. But I'm like, okay. But which one of you was in the bunny costume? And their reaction was like, what? And I was like, no. Like, who was in the bunny costume? Like, at this point, I'm like, it's the point where I figured out, like, it was scary, but one of you guys was in the bunny costume. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I start getting kind of, like, agitated. They're like, okay. I get it. You guys are messing with me. Jonathan, were you in the bunny costume? And he just, like, okay. Like, that Vine look. He gives that look of, like, I don't know. And then Jason has no fucking clue what's going on. My parents kind of, like, quizzically look at me, and I'm like, okay. Thanks for the Game Boy. I say, like, really, like, nicely. Which of you was in the bunny costume? And it just keeps going. And I'm like, no. One of you was in a fucking costume. I didn't cuss. I didn't cuss, but I was like, I got to the point where I was like, who was in the costume? And my parents got mad at me. I remember specifically being yelled at because I was implying that they had messed with me. And I was like, no. One of you was in this fucking bunny costume, messing with me at 2:30 in the morning, and I had to play Pokemon to go to sleep. And they were like, hello? And I got in an argument with them. I got in a straight up argument after opening this. I was like, what privilege is this? I open a fucking Game Boy SP and I'm like, okay, but I'm gonna get in an argument with my parents right now. Like, and they were straight up to the point where they were like, if you're not grateful with this present, they were like, we're gonna take it away. And so I stopped arguing and I was like, I must have been dreaming. But then I went back to the Game Boy. Because like, well, I must have saved the game. Because I was playing the game while I was watching this bunny. Game is right there where I fucking saved it in my dream. So who was out there in the bunny costume at Easter Sunday staring outside my window? Was it a shapeshifter? Was it the bunny man? Or even scarier, was it a person in just a fucking bunny costume outside my grandfather's house just kind of waiting for me to open the curtain? That's scarier to me. If it wasn't a fucking paranormal entity, it was a person in a bunny fursuit.